G'day prospectors, Tony Pilkington from Gold Talk here in Aura. Well and truly outside of my natural environment. Normally I'm sitting in a machine or digging holes or trying to pull up a few gold nuggets and things, but here I am in the office. Um, but the idea of this little presentation is well, as always, to try and hopefully put people onto a little bit of gold and improve your knowledge. And Lisa and I basically we were very privileged. We were invited over to the APLA AGM in Mt Magnet a couple of weeks ago to do a little presentation, and it had to be a little presentation because we were given 20 minutes and 20 minutes only because there was horse racing on that afternoon. So I couldn't waffle on as I tend to. Okay, so I thought I'd just run through the presentation because it just, as I said, it's a little simple research method that we teach. There's nothing complicated about it, and it may well and truly help put you onto gold. So the first thing I want to say is that your prospecting is basically about three things. The first and foremost is exploration. Gaining control of the ground, and then getting out and actually working it. Now, okay, so for Lisa and myself, we involve ourselves in all three of those components. And for a lot of people, it's just about the exploration and digging up those massive 50-ounce nuggets every week, 50 ounce or 0.5 a gram, whichever. So, but just be aware, even if you're only involved in exploration, the gaining control of the ground, the working it is also what you're about, whether you choose to do it or not. The thing is, though, with your exploration, and I'm not trying to be morbid, it's just I think this is a fair thing to say, is that, and I've got some very bad news for you, and take a sip of your coffee and absorb the news. But no matter who you are watching this little presentation, the fact of the matter is that we do not have enough time left on planet Earth, irrespective of our age, to wave our metal detectors over Western Australia. We just cannot do it. So there is not enough time left for any one of us to do that. So basically what we need to do is make choices. A lot of people shy away from research, and they say, oh, it's mind-numbingly boring. But it doesn't have to be. And the thing is, what it allows us to do is make choices about where we go. Your options, I think that most people go down, the paths they go down is probably the most common one is the first two, and that is a random approach. So people will lob up, select a pending tenement, which is legal to go out on, and they'll go out and have a look. And that's fine, but it's a random approach, and you may get lucky, you may not, and there's always an element of luck with prospecting. But I feel that it's not focused, and it is a waste of your time, and it will suck up time. I would rather spend a little bit more time researching pending tenements and working out which one I'm going to go and which one I'm going to view. A lot of people take the sheepy approach to things and just follow other people. And you know what? When you're starting off, why not? You need to start somewhere, and meeting up with people through APLA or sort of randoms at caravan parks and hooking up, I think it's a great way to go. But I think also you need to put a bit of a cap on it and say, right, well, the first couple of times while you're finding your feet, that's fantastic, but I want to sort of be wagging my own tail rather than following other people that may or may not know what they're doing. And it leaves you with the last option, and that is research. And as I said, it does not have to be the mind-numbingly boring types of research. It can be simple, and what I just wanted to show you was one way that we will find places to go prospecting without any apps, without any issues, and it takes literally minutes when you get the hang of it. So basically what we do is we use Tengraph as a primary research tool. Now, The thing is that and it's one of the biggest mistakes that the majority of prospectors make today, and that is that they're relying on their telephone apps, so something like Australian Geology, Travel Maps, or Trilobite, Happy Prospector, those sorts of things. Now, they're field applications. They're not designed to be research-based applications. So, and people have sort of gotten away from being able to use Tengraph. It's a big mistake, and I'll show you why. The fact is that I will do my research on Tengraph and through other means, because I do like the mind-numbingly boring stuff that gives me advantages, but then use things like your Trilobite out in the field. So that's the difference. The main power of Tengraph is some of the information, basically the historical tenement information, which you can't get on Trilobite or Happy Prospector. And this is just one example that took me 5 minutes to find. And obviously I did it around Mt Magnet because that's where the presentation was. And if I'm looking for a place to go prospecting, I will go to the area, and the first thing I do is turn on dead tenements over the left hand side there, and basically that's what you come up with. Now, I know it all looks like a whole heap of gobbledygook, and it does take time to, I suppose, decipher what's going on, but your eyes get in pretty quickly, and basically this is a record of all the tenements in Western Australia, or in this particular area. It's all the tenements that have finished. Okay, so maybe they've been surrendered, perhaps they've been forfeited, or they've just met their natural expiry date. And you can see, of course, here the lines of action. So this is the main mineralised areas through here and through here. So I'm not going to concentrate on those. I'm just going to look at things further out, and I'm looking at some tenements over here and over here. But this one caught my eye pretty quickly, just out to the west of town. And when you zoom in on that, when you zoom in on that, what we find is just what I'm after. So it's a relatively small tenement, and it's been held by private individuals and locals. So the reason why they were doing that is because there was gold there, basically. Now I can pull up more information on it, but I don't need to. Basically, I've got a tenement that was somebody's patch. And I am making assumptions, like I'm assuming that there was gold there, but why else would half a dozen people that are sort of well known in Mt Magnet anyway, but why would they take out that particular lease? Because there was gold on it. That'd be the most logical assumption. Okay. What I have to say also is that you need to make sure when you're doing this that you have legal access to this ground that you're intending to go on. And in this case, it's a exploration license, so you'll need to get either written permission from the tenement holder or take out a Section 40E permit and wait until that becomes valid, and away you can go. So I'm sort of not talking about the legal access to the ground. I'm just talking about to the areas that we want to go to, and then we work out how we're going to gain that access. So in this case, private lease. What I do, and I will go back again, because when we bring up the details of the tenement, the best thing up the top here is we have this little button we can press called Open in Google Earth. Most powerful tool in Tengraph. Now we can get aerial imagery through the Landgate, aerial imagery through the layers section over here on the left hand side, but I prefer to open up in Google Earth for one particular reason. So here it is. We have the tenement in Google Earth, and we can see it's got great access here with a major road, and we can zoom in on it a little bit more and have a close look. Now I always make the assumption, again, I'm not saying I'm right, but it usually works out that way, that if this is indeed someone's patch, it'll be somewhere around the middle. People always put their patch in the middle of any tenements that they're trying to get. So the most powerful tool with Google Earth in relation to prospecting is, hopefully we can see down here on this bottom right corner of Google Earth, oops, that one there, is that there's a elevation, and in this case it says ELEV, elevation 1458 feet. Okay, so we can have the elevation set in metric, so in meters, or we can have it in old language in feet. I prefer to have it in feet because in a relatively flat landscape there's going to be more of these than there will be of those. So what I'm interested in is the incremental change, and so with feet being a smaller measurement, there will be more of them, so it makes my job a little bit easier. And what I've done for the purpose of this particular slide is I've gone through, and wherever my cursor was landing at the time when I put this slide together, that gave me the elevation down the bottom. So we had 1450 feet here, 1450 feet here, 1447, 1448, 1454. So what that tells, and the numbers are irrelevant, is the change in the numbers that we're looking for. So we've got flat, down slope, flat, down slope, flat, up slope. So if we go out a little bit further, what we can see here is this very obvious creek system or drainage channel running away. And with that little elevation figure down the bottom, I can work out the topography very quickly and very easily. There are other ways that you can bring contour lines up onto Google Earth. I find that this is just a bit quicker and a bit more accurate. So it's this drainage channel I'm interested in because it's basically shedding away from the middle of the tenement, and again we're making the assumption that that's the middle of a patch. So what I'm looking for is I'm working out, well, I'm playing what I call the what if game. And so what if this was the patch of gold, and what if it's gone down slope somewhere? And because we've got a drainage channel, so we're saying the start of this is 1450 feet, 1445, 1436, 33, 29, 22. Hello. We've got a creek system or a drainage channel flowing in this direction. So it's going to the top of the slide, as it were. So if there was gold there, why wouldn't the gold be down here in this lower lying areas? That's the what if game. If I go a little bit further than that and I look down the bottom here, and again using my cursor and keeping a very close eye on my elevations, I can see 1429 here, 1422 over here, and then there's this low-lying area that we can see. We can see 1429, 1428, 1427, and then back up to 1430. We can very accurately plot that there's a gutter right through here. And if you have a look also, and it may just be wishful thinking, it seems though there's a nice line of trees here. It's just an old creek channel running through. The more modern one runs through here. Perhaps this is an old one offshoot there. So how am I going to use this to find gold? I mean, I've got no idea if there's gold there, but what I'm looking for is the right target areas. And what I don't want to do is go back to the same patches I've been working for the last 1,000 years. Yes, you're going to find a little bit of gold, but I want to find some better gold. I want to find gold where not too many other people have been. And so the way I do this is exactly as I've said. We start off with someone's patch, that's fine, but then we work out. You can guarantee someone's been air detecting and use this information already, but have they thought about where the gold may have travelled to? And this creek system is a classic spot. How would I approach it? Well, that's sort of subject for a different video, but basically I would patch hunt through this country down here, pay particular attention down here, and then don't forget to work the other side of the creek as well. But I would be more than happy to spend a day or 2 days work down here and see if we can scare some metal up. And for me, that's good prospecting, playing the what if game. If I get nothing, I get nothing. That's the nature of this beast, and I'm not too fussed. So hopefully that sort of get you off in the right direction. The thing is that Lisa and I have this daggy saying that we keep using, and it's a bit of a mouthful, but you do not have to be a professional prospector to prospect professionally. And I know as clumsy as it is, I genuinely believe that. It's okay, people like Lisa and myself, we prospect for a living. It's sort of 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Certainly while Lisa's cracking the whip it is. And we love it. But a lot of people, and a lot of people watching this, you're going out for 2 weeks of the year, and that's fantastic. But for those 2 weeks of the year, you can go about your work professionally, and I believe it sets you up in a much more, if you approach your work professionally and systematically and thoroughly, it doesn't have to be a chore, but I believe it'll potentially put more gold in your kick. Okay, there'll be times when you go without, but there'll be the good times as well, and that's sort of what it's all about. The thing with doing that little method of sussing out the old dead tenements and then playing the what if game, it'll get to a stage where that takes a matter of minutes to put these little things together. So if you were going to an area, i.e. Mount Magnet, for a couple of weeks, you can put 20 or 30 of those scenarios together very easily. You start at one and you work your way through till you hit gold. That's how we do it. The last thing I sort of said at the AGM, and I'm going to say it again now, is the Western Australian Miners' Right is a very powerful piece of paper, and I would love to think that people are very, very proud of it. Every time you get stuck behind a 793 or D10 or something on the Goldfields Highway, every time you get stuck behind one of those, that's the industry that you're involved in. And I know a lot of people, you see like a gold show and you want to give it a go, and you get caught up in the camaraderie and the campfires, and why wouldn't you? I think that's a fantastic part of it. But don't lose sight of the bigger picture, and we are prospectors, and your miner's right is what binds all of us together. Even when we disagree, it doesn't matter. The miner's right is our common bond, and hopefully people can be very proud of it. So look, that's all I wanted to say. I hope that this little video gives you some sort of food for thought. If there's any questions, you can shoot us through an email. We have our next presentation at Mandurah, which is on the 22nd. We've got a one-day course on the 22nd of October, and then another one more advanced day on the 23rd of October. So we hope to see some of you there. Thanks very much, prospectors. Take care.